What's up, guys? It's Kictor, and welcome back to day 2 of Heaven Officials Lick Blessing. What is up, everybody? Let's see who we got here today. We got Jessica, hello, Sumo, Annika, the Wizard of Moss, Vico in the kitchen, Forgetting Envy's Emma. What's up, Emma? Dilumi, Nastya, Amelia Pond, nice name, Saikine, Kohaku Tsukino, Matashe, Horror Girl, so many people, so many friends. What's up, everyone? Anyone have any fun, exciting news that happened in the past 24 hours? Today, I went grocery shopping by myself, yes. Normally I bring Stitch everywhere I go, but she stayed home today. It's quite invigorating. I listened to the entire Phoenix Wright orchestra soundtrack, which is incredible. It is a whole symphony orchestra arrangement of these like songs that were on Game Boy Advance. It was incredible. And I just turned my AirPods on to where you can't fucking hear anybody, and it's great. It's great. I was in there for exactly 50 minutes. In and out. It was wonderful. No evil mystical energy from Walmart for me. I was fully protected. Night Owl says, sadly taking my Christmas tree down. Oh no. Your grandma said it was bad luck if you don't take it down before New Year's. Oh my gosh. So trying to honor her by getting it done. Oh, well, that's nice. We'll definitely have ours up a little bit longer. I feel like, New Year's and then there's like kind of the week after New Year's, and then it's like, okay, we gotta clean fucking everything. I also finished my Lego Game Boy set, which was so cool. It's like the original Game Boy, like the gray brick one, and you actually make the game cartridges and you can slide them in and you can change the screen. It was really, really cool. And I pulled out like my dad's old Game Boy to like reference it to see. I was thinking of making like a little YouTube short, but like all the buttons work. It was so cute. And it was fucking complex for, what it was, but here's the comparison. Like they made it like exactly the same size and stuff. It was really, really cool. I've kind of gotten more into Lego recently because I did the Lego Mario on top of Yoshi. That was an incredible build that took a couple days to do. This one that moves. Oh, Peerless Cork! Thank you for donating. Like this one. And it has the crank. I'm trying to get the crank to work. There you go. Yeah! Peerless Cork, thank you for donating. Peerless Cork says, I've had some crazy stuff happening lately, but I'm back now to catch up on everything. Long time no see, I guess. Love y'all. Oh, well, I hope nothing too crazy, but glad to see you here. It has been a while. I hope that you're doing good, and I've missed you as well. Thank you so much for donating. Night Owl says, I have my old Game Boy Color. It's yellow. Oh, that's wicked. I have the teal one. Here's my kind of setup of all my little retro handheld stuff. I have a really cool Nintendo shelf in our living room. I really like Nintendo stuff. Yeah. Let's see. Brayley says, oh my god, someone said last stream of the year. Is it? Oh my god, it is. Wait, is tomorrow New Year's Eve? I thought I had one more day. Oh, fuck. Oh my god, because Stitch and I are going to a party and it's masquerade themed and we're going to dress super fancy. I actually have a cosplay. Now, is anyone here? This is it's not BL, but I feel like Oron is so BL adjacent. It's freaking queer. In the manga of Oron High School Host Club, when there's the masquerade ball at the very end, Tamaki has this long tuxedo with a big bow tie and coattails, and Haruhi has this beautiful pink dress, and Stitch and I have both of those cosplays, and we've cosplayed them together, so we get to wear them for this party, which will be really fun. Quinn, hey Quinn, thank you so much for donating. Quinn says, not looking forward to tomorrow, waking up at 4 a.m. for work. Oh god, no, 4 a.m. Then going to a banquet hall to volunteer. I get food and tips. Go home at 2 a.m. Sleep is overrated. I hope you can really sleep in the next day, because that is crazy. Oh my gosh. That is absolutely crazy. I hope that you survive, dude. Take care of yourself. Oh my gosh. Thank you for donating too, Quinn. That was really nice of you. Kate says Tamaki and Haruhi are so queer coded for a straight ship. Yeah, and like Haruhi's all like whatever with gender, and Tamaki fell in love with her when he thought she was a boy anyways, right? So Emma says Sugar Shizen is just doing Sugar Shizen schemes for the TGCF voice actors, just waiting for one more item and then I can finally ship them out to them. Oh, that's so cute. I would love to know what you're doing. That is so exciting. Oh, voice actors are amazing. I was watching the Phoenix Wright animation. The anime is not the animation's not very good, but the English dub, you just know they were having so much fun doing it. And there's like the most crass bloopers available. Like, back when anime voice actors used to release the dub bloopers, and they're just so inappropriate. Like, do you remember all like the Full Metal Alchemist? And like English dub bloopers, like those are so fucking funny, where they're just swearing and making the worst jokes imaginable. I've been on like that side of YouTube recently. It's so funny. I would love to see TGCF bloopers. Yeah, Ghost Hunters, exactly. Oh my god, those are so funny. Spark Major here. What are Jinshi and Mao Mao but modern Haruhi and Tamaki? Yes, you fucking get it, dude. That's the same sauce of like the girl who can like, and then the boy who ends up being so desperate for her. Oh, I love it. Also, Spark Major, did you see my most recent video? I reacted to quite a bit of your art, and Stitch had like an aneurysm over your case file art. And somebody even commented, there's so much Spark Major in this video. The Bookworm Girl sent one Kickter gift membership. Oh my god, thank you so much. Thank you for gifting a membership. I appreciate that so much. And after yesterday's stream, we got quite a few new members. So I just really appreciate you guys for deciding to join. That's just really, I feel so blessed. Thank you guys. Oh, Haley's Ray says, when is the case file book 6 video coming out? In the new year. I'm gonna crank that out. I'm gonna crank it in my Victor Arcane, because I'm gonna be cranking it. Yeah, that I gotta get it out because the next book comes out pretty soon too. So that'll be fun. And then I'll work on the Arha one. Saren the Awkward Cat, thank you for donating. That's so nice of you, Saren. Thank you. Have been trying to convince my best friend to read TGCF for ages. Have told her about your recent streams, and I'm hoping that'll do the trick. Oh, that's awesome. Well, I hope your friend joins. Thank you for trying to convince them. That's very exciting. Meru says, so excited for you and your masquerade party. Oh, thank you. Out of curiosity, what was the first anime that got you into the genre? Dude, I was so late to joining the like BL anime genre. Like my first anime was Free. So that was in 2014. So I haven't actually been a fan of anime that long compared to like, Stitch like grew up reading manga in the library and watching anime like as a kid. Like I didn't get into it. So it was right from the start, man. Like I had a friend that I would like role play with, and we started to RP like gay ships. And then my friend was like, well, I've got a gay show that we could watch, and it was Free. And then after Free, we watched Oron, and then it just descended into gay shipping hell for me. That was a good time. Oh, Forgetting Envy says, you talked about the chapter name Forgetting Envy in Modazushi, and I don't know if you're talking about me, but yes, exactly. I'm like, yes, Forgetting Envies, wait a minute, I know that name. Glad to see you here. Broccoli Fox says, you're gonna be cranking what? Exactly, Brock. You're gonna be what? The wife what's first? Sandy says, I finally got my copy of Silent Reading. I can't wait to start that one. Has Stitch read that one already? No, we don't actually have that one yet. Stitch has not left the house in a while. But once we leave and we do our grand journey to Indigo, the bookstore. We will definitely pick that one up. Jessica says, I just finished Arha book 6 and I have very ambitious goals to catch up on Arha and read at least 4 to 6 of Case File, maybe 4 to 6 of QJJ in the next 3 weeks before I'm back to work. Oh, nice. Hey, that's wonderful though. A little reading time. It's crazy what just taking a bit of time for yourself can do for your mental health, really. Just spending like half an hour to do some Lego, half an hour to read. I definitely was like going into December, like addicted to my phone, like just scrolling on TikTok like crazy, and I've just completely stopped. I go on TikTok every now and then, but I don't just like flip to it whenever I'm bored, you know? CSZL says recap overview. Oh my goodness. Thank you for donating. Also, I started to read your fic, by the way. I forgot to mention, I didn't finish it, but I am still reading it, and it is so good. The wholesomeness of the Jung family is just everything I wanted to read. So thank you so much for writing that. Oh my goodness. CSCL donated and says, recap overview of Shaelian having it all and losing it ×2. Shaelian ascends for the 3rd time, causing property damage. To pay this off, Junwoo offers a special assignment. Shaelian and 2 helpers take on a case of missing brides. Oh, that's a fantastic overview. Oh my god, way to catch us up, CSCL. That is exactly it. Oh, I'm very excited to find out what happens next. Stitch and I, right after my stream, we were talking about the chapter so much. It's so much fun to have Stitch at home to talk to Tgcf about, because she's reading it in the next room over, and she got up to chapter 3. So yeah, it will be very exciting for what happens next. Have you done the last book club for Peerless? We haven't uploaded that one yet, but it is in the works. Millie is good also donated. Thank you so much, Millie. There's an anime con happening in my hometown, but I am not in my country, so I am convincing 2 of my friends to cosplay Hua Chung and Shaelian. Oh my god, that's amazing. Live vicariously through them. That is fantastic. You have won. Forgetting Envy says, I watched the stream back the other day and was like, is she talking about me? She remembers me. It made me so happy. Oh, of course. Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, of course. Tamarinia says, are we gonna go back to your channel to get that Yowie Wowie? Dude, listen, if you guys don't know, my most recent video, the reacting to TikToks, I've released my new channel theme song, which Stitch hates so much. And this morning, as we're having our beautiful morning espresso together, I crafted a beautiful little latte heart for her, and we sit next to each other on the couch in our pajamas, and I was like, I'm going to make a full Yowie Wowie song. I'm going to rap the entire song for my channel. So, more Yowie Wowie is to come. Spark Major says, I can't wait to re-fall in love with Tgcf all over again. Right? It's already happened for me. It's so funny because Stitch and I were talking about how to describe what Shaelian is like in these early chapters. And we were going back and forth about, like, you know, is he sarcastic? Is he, like, he's kind of savage? Like, the aptest word, I think, to describe him is with a wry sense of humor. It's like he's not sarcastic like Mu Ching is. Like, Mu Ching's rolling his eyes. He's just fucking, like, just saying words intended to harm, you know, sarcastically. But Shaelian has such a wry sense of humor when he does make his little funny remarks, you know? Meridia says, you should use the full-length Yowie Wowie song on repeat as the stream music. Well, imagine we do a whole music video. We could cosplay. We could do cosplay all these different Yowie ships. Oh my gosh. It would be so good. It would be so good. Releasing my first album. Yeah, well, you know, I did release the Jingguan Yao rap. So, who's to know? I think something I wanted to put on, like, if I make a little, what's it called? A vision board for, like, 2026 is, like, to not be afraid to have more personality, you know? I feel like sometimes when you make a video or something, you can, oh, hey, Spark Major. you know, like try to like put on like a serious cap. Not that things are ever too serious here, but I don't know, being a little bit sillier. Maybe just put on the silly guy hat more for 2026, even more, you know? The Wizard of Moss says, the Jingguan Yao rap is how I found your channel, so absolute win in my opinion. Fantastic. Spark Major has been a Supreme member for 20 months. Thank you so much, Spark Major. Oh my gosh, and a dear friend. I was just as shocked as Stitch to see that case file art in your video and Bo Anning is immortalized. I got a special order of keychains in yesterday. It may be time to lock in and send your package. Oh, stop! Oh my god, are you for real? I will lose it. Oh my god, I'm so lucky to know you, Spark Major. Oh my gosh. Well, very excited whenever that package does decide to come. The silly hat is the jiggy hat, right? Forgetting Envy says, I mean, we already know how amazing your singing voice is from the copywritten audios in the Danmei TikTok videos. Yeah! Did you like the Boys 12 one? That's from, like, American Dad. I did not think it was actually gonna fucking copyright as a real song. I couldn't believe that. So I finished uploading everything. You know, when we do the Tokyo Treat sponsor, it's like a lot of work to edit that and do the voiceover and yada, yada, yada. I upload it. I'm like, I feel like I took out all the copywritten music and I get a fucking copyright claim for the Boys 12 audio. So I had to go in and sing Boys 12. But it's fun. It's just fun. I like to do it. Orion's Belt says, I gotta dig up the Jingguan Yao rap. I've not heard of this. Oh, the Jingguan Yao rap is very good. It was great. I just, like, after watching The Untamed, got viscerally obsessed with Jingguan Yao. I was so obsessed with him. Still am. But, like, you know when it's just hitting right? Like, oh my fucking god. And so I made a little rap about him. Esper Lady says, I still listen to it sometimes. Oh, thank you. Miss Rosie, how are you doing? How are you and your family? How's your mom? Thank you for donating. Out of curiosity, do you and Stitch have any New Year's traditions? Mine is making longevity soup and having it with longevity noodles with friends. Oh, that's so cute. Longevity noodles. That's awesome. I think for traditions, when I used to go visit Stitch in Montana, we would go outside for New Year's and light a sparkler and try and look for any fireworks. And then so we spent 2 New Year's like that together in Montana. And then last year, Stitch was here and we were both really sick. So we didn't do anything. We popped a few crackers, I think, and wore party hats. And of course we have to kiss. Our tradition is definitely kissing as the ball drops. So yeah, this year we're going to be with all our friends. It's like we've never been at a New Year's party yet together. So, oh yeah, there was one other year she was here and me and my friends, we lit some firecrackers and I think popped some champagne or sparkling apple juice. I think our most standing tradition is just a kiss, at least. Mayan is here. Oh my god, hey Mayan! Member for 48 months, a Supreme member. Thank you so much, Mayan. I was just thinking about you the other day. Dropping in to say a belated Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and Stitch, and Rocket sends sniffs to Link and Lex. Oh, thank you, Rocket. Oh my gosh, you know what's so funny is that someone moved in next to us and they have a Shiba Inu. They have a tan one like Rocket, and it's so cute. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. So now we have a little tan Shiba, and we have our black and tan ones, which are just so it's just adorable. The Shibas are taking over the community. It's fantastic. So I hope Rocket had a nice Christmas and was very spoiled. Dearsy Gaming has been a Supreme member for 17 months. Thank you so much, Dearsy. Oh my gosh. 17 whole months. Also have a Happy New Year's. I get to work that night because overnight stalker. Oh, damn. I hope that you also survive. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That sounds tough. I hope that it goes okay. But thank you so much for donating. Spazzy says Kictor is Jiggy's most devoted believer. I just may be. Shadow Dancer 10 has been a member for 17 months. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, also 17. It says, managed to recover from a panic attack earlier. Oh no. Oh, that is awful. I luckily, I think I've only had like 2 of those my entire life, and they have been just wretched. So I hope you're doing okay now. Now I'm ready for Tgcf and have 4 new books waiting for my paycheck to hit to buy tomorrow. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, lots of fun stuff looking forward to for tomorrow. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Oh, lots of people haven't heard the Jiggy rap. Oh my goodness. Well, you have to find it on my channel. It's buried far, far away. Kate says, my baby says hi, Kictor. Hello, Kate's baby. Oh my god. Oh, forgetting Envy's is cat sitting your coworker's kitten. Oh, a kitten. That's so cute. Oh. Shizen Puppy. Oh my god, incredible name. Shizen Puppy. Thank you for donating. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And Shadow Dancer says, I do feel better, thank you. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad. And I am going to leave you guys unattended for 1 moment as I go get some water. So you can stare at this sexy picture of Hua Chung in my absence. All right, all right. Hua chair. Nice one. Broccoli Fox says, more chaos! Ah! Not the crabs! The crabs are attacking me! Every time you send a crab, they pinch my feet. How could you do that to me? How could you do that to me? That's so funny. Oh gosh. Leo says, currently watching the Modazushi Donghua with my dad while listening to the stream. I'm Danmei multitasking. That is amazing. Spazzy says, better crabs than spiders. Yeah, you know, it's actually been a while since I've seen any spiders. Ugh. Good vibes only. No spiders tonight. Dearsy Gaming, thank you so much for donating. Oh yeah, I guess this is like the last stream. I feel like we need to talk about New Year's resolutions and stuff. I feel like oh my god. I feel like I have one more day. My New Year's resolution is to eat less carbs, start walking again, and to finish reading all my Danmei. Oh, nice. That's wicked. Those are great, great goals. Hell yeah. Start and finish reading all my Danmei. That's great. That's great. Maybe you can even read some Danmei while walking. On a treadmill or with an audiobook. I don't know. Kate says, I have a 1-day deadline to get 3 designs done. Give me the strength. I'm sending you the strength. Ah! Yeah. Does anyone have any fitness goals for 2026? I am getting married at the beginning of March, so I might go on a little bit of a cut, you know. Been eating a lot of chocolate for Christmas, but you got to enjoy it. You have to enjoy it. But I've been working out a lot. I got I got my dad a new lat pull down bar, so I did a really good back workout last night. Naj, oh my gosh, thank you so much for sending 10 gift memberships. Oh my god, thank you so much. That's so kind of you, Naj. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for 10 new members. That is amazing. Oh my gosh. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Welcome. Oh my goodness. Well, let's see. Alicia and Hershey, Winking and Quinn, not your housekeeper. Is that mooching? And Miriam and Pandane and Dakai. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. I hope you enjoy being members. I really appreciate that. And that means on Fridays you can come to the what's it called? Danmei Game Night at 7 p.m. PST. Braley says, I've been in a sugar coma for the past week. Me too. Me too. Miss Rosie also sent a gift membership. Thank you so much, Miss Rosie. Miss Rosie, you said you go to Pilates sometimes, right? My New Year's resolution to start working out again, make a decent dent in my TBR Dan May pile, and eat better so I feel better. Hell yeah. Oh, and to keep making more book videos. Yeah, dude, yes. We need more. We need more of that. We need more Dan May people making Dan May stuff. I appreciate anybody who talks about Dan May in the internet, you know? Dearsy, thank you so much for donating. It says, great minds think alike. I was actually thinking of getting one of those small treadmills and read while walking. Bro, about like 3 years ago is when I decided to like get really fit. And the first thing I did was starting to just walk on the treadmill all the time. And it fucking sucked at first. And I would be so bored, but I started putting on just like really long YouTube videos, like documentary style videos and stuff to get through it. And then it finally worked my way up to jogging and running and stuff. And now we're jacked. But I feel like it honestly only takes like 3 months to get fit. And then if you keep it up, you just feel great. So, you know, if you just think January, I gotta make it to March, you can do it. You can totally fucking do it. Rose City Kimono has been a member for 14 months as a Supreme. Thank you so much. And says, I have been loving all your videos and game nights. Anything special planned for the first game night of 2026? Right? We should do something. We should do some. What could be special that we could do? Because we just did the t-shirt and the Jackbox game for Christmas. So what could be good for New Year's? Trivia is always pretty good. Dan May trivia. Could think about something like that. Oh, Dan May Jeopardy. Oh, that's a good idea. I love that. Yeah. I want to make a Dan May Jeopardy. That would be great. That would be really great. Okay. I'm actually gonna write that down. I got trivia and Geopardy. Okay. Sweet. All right. It is 5:30. I'm gonna start reading. Just a light reminder that, you know, talking about spoilers is okay. The books have been out for a while. Most people, I would say, have read them. But I do think it's most fun if we focus on what we're currently reading. So try not to drop any huge spoilers. You know, if it slips out, don't jump on anybody. Don't be like, hey, no spoilers. Like, let's just be kind to everybody in the chat. We can all be excited together. And, but let's try and focus on like what's currently happening and try not to jump too far ahead, if you know what I mean. Okay. And we are on chapter 3. And I've already lost our spot. Okay. What time is it? Chat? What time is it? What was it? It's Gaga time. All right. Chapter 3. The ghost takes a bride. The crown prince mounts the bridal sedan. One of the sedan carriers wasn't paying attention and stepped on an arm. Oh yes, okay, so what just happened is they were watching this bridal procession walk past, and inside the body of a woman just fell apart in front of their eyes and rolled out of the sedan in pieces. So one of the sedan carriers wasn't paying attention and stepped on an arm. He screamed without thinking, and then immediately the entire wedding procession was in an uproar. Good Lord, that band of men whipped out their shining broadswords, then yelled, "What's the matter? Has it come?" Commotion had broken out in the street. When Shalian looked closely, the body with its head severed wasn't a real person, but a wooden puppet. Too ugly, Fu Yao commented again. Fu Yao and his obsession with beauty. He's so insecure. The tea master just happened to be coming over with the copper teapot. Shalian recalled his attitude yesterday, so he asked, "Shopkeeper, I saw that group of people banging drums and gongs yesterday, and I see them doing the same thing again today. What are they doing?" "Seeking their own ruin," the tea master said. Shalian wasn't surprised. "Are they trying to lure out that ghost groom?" What do you think? The tea master replied. The father of a missing bride will award a great sum of money to whoever finds his daughter and captures that ghost groom. So that group has been messing around all day, every day, creating a foul atmosphere. The father, who was awarding the bounty, must be the Lord Official. Thank you for donating, Shizen Puppy. Shizen Puppy says, remember to like the video to help out Kictor. Oh, thank you. Yeah, be sure to click like on the video if you haven't. Thank you so much. Also, just want to remember everybody to be encouraged to ask questions and not feel silly. If there's something that you don't understand or you don't remember, put it in the chat. Either I will reply or someone else in the chat will reply very kindly to you. Okay, so yes, the father who was awarding the bounty must be the Lord Official. Shalian took another glance at that crassly built head of a woman, knowing the men were attempting to disguise the puppet as the bride. Fu Yao commented in disgust. If I were the ghost groom, I'd wipe out this entire troop for sending such an ugly thing to me. Fu Yao, you're not speaking as an immortal should, Shalian said. And can you fix that eye-rolling habit of yours? Why don't you set a small target for yourself first and roll only 5 times a day or something like that? Oh my god, that's Shalian! Oh my god, that's so funny. Set it at 50 times a day and it still won't be enough, Nan Feng added. Oh my gosh. And Sumo, thank you for donating, Sumo. Says, what about something like GeoGuessr? Guess the location by the description from the book only. It could work if someone put some work into it. That is a good idea. I will write that down too as a game. GeoGuessr. Dan made GeoGuessr. That's hilarious. Happy early New Year to you too, Sumo. Nan Feng calling out Fu Yao's bullshit, like, that is so funny. Just then, a young man suddenly poked out from the procession, spunky and spirited. Judging by sight, he was the leader. He raised his arm and hollered, "Listen to me! Listen to me! It's completely useless to keep this up. How many times have we made this trip in the past few days? Has the ghost groom ever shown itself?" The group of men agreed and started to grumble while that youth continued. I think since we started this, we should just do it and charge right up Mount Eugen. We'll search the mountain and drag that ugly freak out to kill it. I'll lead the way. Any good, brave men can follow me. Kill the ugly freak, and we'll split the bounty. Night Owl says, how about Danmei Pictionary? I'll write that down as well. Awesome. Great suggestions. Thank you, Night Owl. What if the ghost groom is hot, though? Right? There were only a small and scattered number of men at first who answered his call, but the voices gradually grew bigger and louder. In the end, everyone was roaring in agreement, surprisingly sounded rather immense in strength. Shalian wondered, ugly freak? Shopkeeper, what's the ugly freak they're talking about? The tea master replied, apparently the ghost groom is an ugly creature living on Mount Eugen, and because it's so ugly, no woman loves it. That's why it grew hate in its heart and began robbing others of their brides to ruin their happy occasions. The scroll from the palace of Lingwen didn't record this. Shalian wondered, is that explanation true? Is it not speculation? Who knows, the tea master replied. Apparently quite a few people have seen it. Its entire face is wrapped in bandages, with savage eyes peering out. It doesn't know how to talk and can only growl like a wolfhound. The rumors are quite bizarre. Just because its face is wrapped in bandages doesn't mean it's ugly. There's also the possibility that it's so beautiful it doesn't want others to see, Fu Yao said. Kind of strange for Fu Yao to now switch up. The tea master was speechless for a moment. Who knows? Either way, I've never seen it. Right then, a young girl's voice came from the street. Don't listen to him. Don't go. Mount Eugen is a very dangerous place. The one who spoke while hiding at a street corner was the girl who was praying for blessings at the temple of Nanyang last night. Xiao Ying. When Shalian saw her face, he could feel his own aching and subconsciously rubbed his cheek. That youth appeared grim when he saw her, and he shoved her. What's a little woman doing interrupting when the big men are talking? Xiao Ying cowered a little when she was shoved, but then she gathered her strength and said in a small voice, Don't listen to him. Whether it's faking a wedding procession or searching the mountain, aren't you all seeking your own deaths by doing something so dangerous? Well, don't you make it sound nice, the youth rebuked. Us guys are putting our lives on the line to exterminate evil for the people. But what about you? Selfish and greedy, refusing to play the role of the fake bride and get on the sedan. You don't have half the courage of the people here, but now you're here to obstruct us? What are you scheming? He shoved her with every word, making everyone inside the shop frown at the sight. Shalian looked down and unwrapped the bandage on his wrist as he heard the tea master speak. That Xiao Pengtou wanted to coax that girl into playing the fake bride before, his words sweet like honey, but the girl refused, so now he's changed face. On the street, the group of burly men also exclaimed, "Stop standing there blocking our way! Move aside!" When Xiaoying saw this, her flat face flushed bright red, tears rolling in her eyes. Why must you talk like this? That youth, Xiao Pengtou, continued. Was I wrong? I told you to play the fake bride, and did you not refuse? Xiaoying replied, It's true that I didn't dare do it, but you didn't have to slash my dress. That bastard. Forgetting Envy says there's also a game called Make It Meme. Okay, I'm gonna write that down too. Okay, I've got plenty of suggestions now. This is great. Okay, fuck this guy. The moment she mentioned this, Xiao Pengtou instantly jumped as if he stubbed his toe. He pointed at her face and yelled, You ugly freak! Don't slander people around here. Me? Slash your dress? Are you taking me for blind? Who knows if you didn't do it yourself because you want to flash people? As if anyone would want to see an ugly face like yours, even with a ripped dress. Don't blame this on me. Nanfeng couldn't bear to listen anymore, and the teacup shattered in his hand with a crack. Just as he was about to stand up, however, a white silhouette drifted past. At the same time, Xiao Pengtou, who was jumping a foot high, yelped and fell on his butt on the ground, holding his face while blood dripped from between the cracks of his fingers. No one in the crowd had a chance to see what exactly happened before the boy was already sitting on the ground. At first they thought it was Xiaoying who went berserk, yet when they looked at her, they couldn't actually see her. A white-clad cultivator had come and shielded her. Shalian tucked his hands in his sleeves, not bothering to look back. He grinned happily at Xiaoying, bending slightly at the waist to meet her eyes. Miss, I was wondering if I might have the pleasure of inviting you inside for a cup of tea. Aw, he's so nice. Xiao Pengtou was sprawled on the ground. His mouth and nose were in an excruciating pain. His entire face was in agony, as if he had just been cracked brutally by a steel whip. Yet this cultivator clearly didn't have any weapons, nor did Xiao Pengtou see how the man had struck or what he had used to strike. He scrambled to crawl up, then brandished his blade and yelled, This man used wicked magic! Flip it around, wicked witch! When the group of burly men behind him heard wicked magic, they all brandished their broadswords. Yet unexpectedly, Nanfeng suddenly struck with his hand from behind, and crack! A pillar snapped and broke. Having witnessed such godly strength, the group of burly men instantly lost color in their faces. Although stricken with fear, Xiao Pengtou still remained stubborn and shouted at them as he ran away. I'll concede defeat today. Where did you fellow good men come from? Leave your names and we'll meet again someday. Nanfeng didn't even care to answer him, but next to him Fu Yao replied, Very kind, very kind. This one is from the Temple of Ju... Nanfeng struck out another hand, and those two began to spar soundlessly, because he was about to call him the dick name. Shalian wanted to invite the little maiden in to sit for a bit at first, order some fruit tea or something. Yet before he could, she walked off on her own while wiping away tears. He sighed, watching that retreating back, then went inside by himself. When he entered the tea shop, the tea master chided, Remember to pay for that pillar. Thus, when Shalian sat down, he turned to Nanfeng. Remember to pay for that pillar. ... replied Nanfeng. Before that, let's focus on proper business, Shalian said. Who can lend me some spiritual powers? I need to enter the communication array to verify from information. Nanfeng raised his hand, and the two clapped palms as an oath, counting it as binding an extremely simple contract. Thus, Shalian could finally enter the communication array once more. It's not gay if it's a high five. The moment he entered, he heard Ling Wen say, Your Highness finally managed to borrow some spiritual powers. Is everything in the north going well? Were the two junior martial officials who volunteered themselves any help? Xiaolian looked up and glanced at the pillar Nanfeng snapped with his palm earlier. Then he glanced at Fu Yao, who was currently resting with his eyes closed, wearing a cold and distant expression. He then replied, "The two junior martial officials both have their own values, and they are both talents worth nurturing." Ling Wen chuckled. "Then we must congratulate General Nanyang and General Xuanzhen on your Highness's words. The future of those junior martial officials must be infinite, and they will soon ascend themselves." It wasn't long before Mu Qing's voice surfaced coolly. "He didn't inform me of this outing, so let him be. Either way, I don't know anything." "You really are lurking in the communication array all day," Xiaolian thought. "Your Highness," Ling Wen said, "where have you settled? The north is guarded by General Pei. His worshippers are abundant. If your Highness has any need, you can stay temporarily at his temples of Mingguang." Pei Ming! "There's no need for the trouble," Xiaolian replied. "We didn't find any temples of Mingguang nearby, so we settled in a temple of Nanyang. A quick question, Ling Wen, about this ghost groom. Do you have any more information?" "Yes," Ling Wen replied. "The result of its rank evaluation was just processed by my palace. It's a wrath." "A wrath!" "In regards to the monsters, demons, and ghosts that caused great turmoil within the mortal realm, the palace of Ling Wen had categorized them based on their abilities. The ranks were as followed: Fierce, Malice, Wrath, and Supreme. A Fierce murdered one. A Malice could murder a sect. A Wrath could slaughter an entire city. As for the most fearsome Supremes, once they were born into this world, they were destined to bring ruin to nations and people and complete disorder everywhere." The ghost groom that had been holding up in Mount Yujin was ranked a Wrath, only one level lower than a Supreme. That meant no one who saw it could escape unharmed. Thus, after Xiaolian exited the communication array and informed the other two of this, Nangfeng said, "Then the ugly bandaged male is probably just a rumor, or they saw something else." "There's another possibility," Xiaolian said. "Like, for example, under certain circumstances, this ghost groom will not or cannot cause harm." Fu Yao said disapprovingly, "The palace of Ling Wen is so inefficient, taking this long only to come up with a rank. What's the use?" "At the very least, we have an understanding of the enemy's strength," Xiaolian said. "But since this is a wrath, the ghost groom's spiritual powers must be very strong, and a fake puppet will not be able to deceive it at all. If we want to lure it out, then we can't cast a camouflage spell on puppets for the wedding procession. And we can't carry weapons either. The most important thing is, the bride must be a living person." Can you tell where this is going? "We'll just find a woman on the street and use her as bait," Fu Yao said. Nanfeng, however, rejected the idea. "No." "Why not?" Fu Yao said. "Think they'll be unwilling? Give them a sum of money and they'll be willing then." "Fu Yao, even if there are women who are willing, it's best if we don't employ this method," Xiaolian said. "This ghost groom is a wrath. If there are any mishaps, nothing will happen to us, but if the bride is kidnapped, a meek woman won't be able to escape or fight back, so it's certain death for her." "If we can't use women, then we'll have to use men," Fu Yao said. Nanfeng said, "Where are we going to find a man who's willing to—" He trailed off, and the two gazed over. Xiaolian was still sitting there smiling. Oh my gosh. 74 pages in and we're already cross-dressing. We love it. Nighttime. The Temple of Nanyang. Xiaolian emerged from behind the back of the temple with his hair down and flowing, looking disheveled. The two standing guard by the temple entrance looked, and Nanfeng swore, "Fuck!" right on the spot before charging out. Xiaolian was speechless for a moment, then said, "Was that necessary?" No matter who looked, they could tell with one glance that this was a handsome man with gentle brows. But this was precisely the reason why many would be unable to stand the image of a perfectly good, handsome man wearing a woman's wedding dress. Oh my gosh. Nanfeng, for example, couldn't bear it at all, which was why his reaction was so extreme. Xiaolian saw Fu Yao was still standing there, scanning him up and down with a complicated look. He asked, "Is there anything you wish to say?" Fu Yao nodded. If I were the ghost groom and someone sent a woman like this to me. You'd wipe out the entire town, was it? Shalian finished for him. Fu Yao replied frigidly. No, I'd kill the woman. Shalian smiled. Then I can only say, thank goodness I'm not a woman. Oh my god. Interpret that as you will. Fu Yao said, I think, why don't you go ask in the communication array now to see if there's any heavenly official who's willing to teach your transformation magic? That would be more practical. There certainly were several heavenly officials who, on account of their own unique needs, knew transformation magic. However, it was probably too late to learn now. Over on the other side, Nanfeng came back with a gloomy face. He was much more calmer after having sworn, a trait that was truly entirely the same as the general he served. Ha ha ha. A lot of similarities between him and Feng Xin. Seeing it was getting late, Shalian said, whatever, it's all the same when the veil goes down. He was about to put the covering on when Fu Yao raised a hand and stopped him. Hang on, you don't know how the ghost groom harms people. If he raises the veil and feels deceived, wouldn't that just provoke unnecessary trouble? Rage is unpredictable, and events can take unexpected turns. Shalian thought that made sense, but when he took a step, he heard a rip. This red wedding dress Fu Yao got him really didn't fit that well. A woman's form was much daintier. After he put on the dress, while the waist was surprisingly just fine. Love that description. He's got such a thin waist. He was severely restricted into raising his arms and lifting his feet. When the movement was too wide, the robes ripped. Just as he was looking everywhere to see where the fabric was torn, a voice came from the entrance of the temple. Excuse me. The three looked to the source of the sound and saw Xiao Ying holding a properly folded white robe in her hands while standing at the entrance of the temple. She was watching them with trepidation. I remember it was here where I met you, so I wanted to come over to see if I would run into you again, Xiao Ying said. I've washed these clothes. I've put them here. Thank you so much for yesterday and today. Oh, she's returning his robe. Shalian was going to smile in response when he suddenly remembered his own appearance and decided it was best if he didn't speak to scare people. Yet unexpectedly, not only was Xiao Ying not frightened, she took another step forward. Are you... If you like, I can help. Oh my god, we love our unjudgmental queen. No, miss, please don't misunderstand. This isn't a hobby of mine, Shalian explained. Xiaoling quickly replied, I know. What I meant was, I can help you, if you don't mind. You guys are going to go catch the ghost groom, right? Her voice and her expression both lifted instantly. I know how to tailor clothes. I've got needles and thread on me at all times. I can help fix anywhere that doesn't fit, and I can even help with makeovers. Let me help you. ... 2 incense times passed, and Shalian once again emerged from the back of the temple with his head down. This time, the bridal veil was already in place. Nanfeng and Fu Yao had wanted to take a look at first, but in the end, they decided to cherish their eyes. The sedan they called over was already waiting by the entrance of the temple, and the carefully selected sedan carriers had also been waiting for a long time. It was a night when the moon was obscured and the winds raised. Adorned in a brand new wedding dress, the crown prince thus mounted the bright red bridal sedan. The entire body of that bridal sedan was dressed in bright red satin, which was embroidered with colored threads spelling the words blooming flowers and full moon, and dragon and phoenix bring prosperity, idioms meaning perfect happiness and extremely good fortune. Nanfeng and Fu Yao were on the right and left respectively, escorting the bridal sedan on either side. Shalian sat poised within the sedan, swaying along with the movements of the sedan carriers. The 8 sedan carriers carrying the large palanquin were all outstanding military officers. In order to find expertly skilled sedan carriers to play the part of the wedding procession, Nanfeng and Fu Yao went directly to that lord official's residence and demonstrated their power, then revealed that they planned to probe Mount Yujin that night. Without a word, the officials summoned a squad of big, tall military officials. However, it wasn't in the hope of extra help that the expertly skilled were chosen. Rather, it was so when the Wrath Ghost launched attacks, they could run away and protect themselves. But in truth, it was actually those 8 military officers who were secretly looking down on them. They were the top #1 experts at the government office, and leaders of outstanding heroes wherever they went. Yet those two pretty boys were riding over their heads and had ordered them to be the sedan carriers. It wouldn't be wrong to say they were quite upset. The master's orders had to be followed, so they forcibly suppressed their disdain in their hearts. Nonetheless, it was difficult to avoid the frustration flaring up, so every often they'd purposely jerk their legs or shake their hands, making the sedan ride quite bumpy. Wow. Others might not be able to tell, but if the one sitting inside the sedan was just a bit weaker and more delicate, then they would have probably puked their guts out. Too bad Shalian just can't be fucking phased. The sedan bumped, and sure enough, they heard Shalian inside the sedan let out a low sigh. The military officials couldn't help but feel rather proud inwardly. Outside, Fuyao said coolly, "What's the matter, miss? Tears of joy at finally marrying at your old age?" That's funny. Indeed, when a bride left home for the first time, many teared up and wept in the bridal sedan. Shalian didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but when he spoke, his voice was calm and natural, revealing nothing of the discomfort from the bumpy ride. "No, it's just, I suddenly realized that this wedding procession is missing something very important." "Missing what?" Nanfeng asked. "We've prepared all that we need." Shalian smiled. "2 accompanying maids. ... Boom! The two outside exchanged a look. Then they both shuddered violently, seeming to have imagined something. Fuyao replied, "Just pretend that the family's poor and that there's no money to buy maids, and deal with it." "All right," Shalian said. When the sedan-carrying military officers heard this gag, they couldn't help but chuckle. With this, the displeasure did indeed disperse quite a bit, and a bit more camaraderie developed, making the sedan much steadier. Thus, Shalian leaned back in a proper sitting position and closed his eyes to rest his mind. Unexpectedly, not long after, a child's laughter abruptly sounded by his ears. "Hee hee ha ha, kee 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 kee." The laughter rippled across the mountain, ethereal and peculiar. However, the bridal sedan neither paused nor stopped, continuing steadily on its way. Not even Nanfeng or Fuyao made a noise, seeming to not have noticed anything amiss. Shalian opened his eyes and called in a low voice, "Nanfeng? Fuyao?" From the left side of the bridal sedan, Nanfeng answered, "What is it?" "Something's come," Shalian replied. By that time, this wedding procession had gradually entered the deeper parts of Mount Yujin. Quiet blanketed the wilderness. Quiet blanketed the wilderness, and the creaking of the wooden sedan, the crackling of broken leaves and branches when stepped on, the breathing of the sedan carriers, all seemed to sound louder in this silence. And that child's laughter still hadn't died. It was sometimes distant, as if it came from deeper within the woods, and sometimes close, as if it was leaning over on the edge of the sedan. Nanfeng grew serious. "I don't hear anything." Fuyao also said coldly, "Me neither." In that case, it was even more impossible for the sedan carriers to have heard anything. "That means it's purposely letting only me hear," Shalian said. The 8 military officers considered themselves experts in martial arts, and also felt there was no pattern to the ghost groom taking brides, so they were confident they would go home empty-handed tonight, and weren't frightened in the least. Yet for some reason, the 40-some military officers from before, who mysteriously went missing delivering the bride, suddenly came to mind, and cold sweat appeared on some of their foreheads. Shalian sensed that some had stalled in their steps and said, "Don't stop, pretend nothing is the matter." Nanfeng waved, gesturing for them to keep going. Shalian said, "It's singing." "What's it singing?" Fuyao asked. Shalian listened carefully to the child's voice, then repeated verse by verse, a pause after each one. "New bride, new bride, new bride in the red bridal sedan." In the quiet of the night, his somewhat slow voice was clear, but while he was clearly the one reciting, it was as if those 8 military officials were hearing the voice of a young infant singing this odd little nursery rhyme along with Shalian, making their blood run cold. Shalian continued, "Brimming tears past the hills, smile not. Under the bridal veil, the ghost..." "Is it the ghost groom? Or what is it?" After a pause, Shalian said, "No, it keeps laughing. I can't hear it clearly anymore." Nanfeng frowned. "What did that mean?" "It means exactly what you heard," Shalian said. "It's to tell the bride inside the sedan to only cry and not smile." "I meant, what's the meaning of this creature running over to give you hints like this?" Nanfeng said. Always having the opposite opinion, Fu Yao said, "It might not be giving hints. It's also possible that it's purposely trying to encourage the opposite, and only smiling can keep one safe and sound, but its objective is to trick people into crying. It's hard to say if the brides from the past were deceived like this." "Oh, Fu Yao, when hearing such a voice on the road, any normal bride would be scared to death. How could they smile?" Shalian said. "Besides, what's the worst that can happen, whether I cry or smile?" "Getting kidnapped," Fu Yao said. "And isn't that our objective of tonight's outing?" Shalian asked. A hard sniff came out of Fu Yao's nose, but he stopped his rebuttals. A hard sniff. Shalian continued, "And there's another thing I feel I must tell you both." "What?" Nanfeng asked. "I've been smiling ever since I mounted the bridal sedan," Shalian said. ... Just as he spoke, the body of the sedan abruptly dipped. There was suddenly a commotion outside among the 8 military officers, and the bridal sedan came to a complete stop. Nanfeng shouted, "Don't panic!" Shalian raised his head slightly. "What's going on?" Fu Yao replied coolly, "Nothing. We've run into a bunch of beasts, that's all." Just as he answered, Shalian heard the sharp howl of wolves pierce the night sky. A pack of wolves was blocking the way. This didn't feel normal, no matter how Shalian thought about it. "Quick question, are there often wolves running about on Mount Yujin?" One of the military officers carrying the sedan answered, "It's unheard of before. How is this Mount Yujin?" Shalian raised his brows. Then we've come to the right place." There were only wild wolves of the mountains. They couldn't do anything to Nanfeng and Fu Yao, nor could they do anything to those military officers who spent years rolling around the edge of danger. It was just that they were all focused earlier on deciphering that bizarre and eerie nursery rhyme, which was why they were so taken by surprise. From deep within the woods in the dark of the night, pairs and pairs of haunting green wolf eyes lit up. One starving wolf after another slowly emerged from within the forest surrounding them. However, it was so much better to face beasts one could see and hit than to face a creature one could neither hear nor touch, and so the group started rubbing their hands and clenching their fists, ready to get down to slaying. However, the good part was yet to come. What followed closely behind the wolves was the sound of rustling and crackling, a series of odd noises that sounded like beasts but not quite, and like humans but not. A military officer exclaimed in alarm, What's that? What is that thing?" Nanfeng also cursed. Shalian knew that something unexpected had happened and tried to stand. "What's happening now?" Nanfeng immediately replied, "Don't come out." Shalian had only just raised his hand when the sedan violently jolted as if something had pressed against the sedan door. He didn't lower his head, but he dropped his eyes slightly, and from beneath the bridal veil he saw the back of the head of something black. It had actually climbed into the sedan. That creature crashed headfirst through the sedan door, but was then forcefully dragged out by the man outside. Nanfeng swore in front of the sedan, "Fuck! It's a Binu!" Shalian knew this was going to be downright troublesome the moment he heard it was a Binu. Based on the evaluation of the Palace of Lingwen, Binu were the creatures that didn't even deserve to be ranked fierce. Allegedly, Binu were once humans. But by the look of them now, even if they were considered humans, they'd be deformed humans. They had heads and faces, but the features were smeared and unclear. They had arms and legs, but were too weak to walk. They had mouths and teeth, but they couldn't bite anyone to death, no matter how much they tried. But if there was a choice, everyone would rather run into the scarier, fierce, or malice-ranked ghosts than these creatures. This was because Binu often appeared at the same time as other monsters, demons, and ghosts. While the prey was distracted, battling with the enemy, they'd suddenly pop out and use their untiring, pestering limbs, their sticky and gooey bodily fluids, and their endless reinforcements of companions to tangle up the prey like sticky candy. Even though their combat power was extremely low, because of their vitality being extremely tenacious, and they often appeared in large groups, it was impossible to shake them off, and also very difficult to kill them all quickly. Gradually, they would drain your strength, and you'd get tripped up. That instance of carelessness, the opportunity for which your enemy was waiting, would spell your end. And when the prey was killed by the other monsters, demons, and ghosts, the Binu would pick at the remnant broken limbs the stronger beings left over after eating. They'd eat with keen pleasure and gnaw the bones full of holes and scraps. This was truly a very disgusting creature. For any heavenly official in the upper court, all they needed to do was release their spiritual light and summon their weapons, and those creatures would withdraw in fright. but to the junior officials of the middle court, those creatures were exceedingly vexing. Fu Yao spat with disgust from a spar distance. I hate those things. Did the palace of Lingwen mention their presence here? No, Shalian said. Then what do we need them for? Fu Yao exclaimed. How many have come? Shalian asked. About 100, possibly more, Nanfeng replied. Don't come out. Creatures like Binu were strong in numbers, and over a dozen were already very difficult to manage. Over 100? That was more than enough to drag them to their deaths. They usually preferred to stay in areas heavily populated with people. He had never imagined there'd be so many on Mount Yujin. Shalian pondered for a moment, then raised his arm slightly, revealing a wrist that was half wrapped in bandages. Go on, he said. The moment those two words were spoken, that white bandage suddenly slipped off his wrist on its own like it was alive and flew out of the curtain of his bridal sedan. Shalian sat poised within the sedan and instructed gently, strangle them to death. In the blank of the night, it was as if the white silhouette of a viper suddenly slithered forth. When that white silk band was pretending to be a bandage wrapped around Shalian's wrist, it looked like it was only several meters long. Yet when it was slaughtering with such devilish lightning speed, it was like it was endless. A seamless series of cracking sounds later, dozens of wild wolves and Binu had their necks wrung in an instant. The 6 Binu wrapped around Nanfeng instantly fell to the ground dead. He sent a wild wolf flying with a strike of a hand, never dropping his guard once. He shouted with disbelief towards the sedan. What was that thing? Didn't you say you can't manipulate spiritual devices without spiritual powers? Shalian replied, There are always exceptions. Nanfeng was furious and he slapped the sedan door. Shalian, explain properly right now what that thing was. Was it... His slap almost broke the entire sedan completely. Shalian had to quickly raise his hand to support himself against the door, slightly taken aback. The way Nanfeng spoke actually reminded him of how Feng Xin used to be when he was mad. Nanfeng was about to say more when suddenly the wailing of military officers came from a distance. Do you think Nanfeng recognized what that was? Fu Yao said icily, If there's anything to say it after fighting this wave off first. Without any choice, Nanfeng had to rush over to rescue the other people. Shalian swiftly snapped out of it and ordered, Nanfeng, Fu Yao, you guys leave first. Nanfeng whipped his head around. What? Shalian explained, If you guys are around the sedan, the creatures will keep coming and the fight will never end. Take the men away first. I'll stay behind and meet this groom. Nanfeng was about to swear again. You'll be by yourself. However, Fu Yao said coldly, He can control that silk band, so nothing will happen for the moment. If you got the time to drag your feet, why don't you settle this group first, then come back and help? I'm off. Well, he certainly was snappy and carefree, leaving without a thought, dragging not a single step. Nanfeng clenched his teeth, knowing what Fu Yao said was true, so he turned to the military officers who were there first. Come with me first. Sure enough, after they left the bridal sedan, while the pack of wolves and Binu were sent pestering them, there wasn't any new waves joining the fray. The two each escorted 4 military officers, and on their way, Fu Yao fought as he spat hatefully. I can't believe this. If I wasn't... He stopped mid-speech. The two met eyes, and the look was odd. Fu Yao swallowed his words and turned his head away, both temporarily stopping and not bringing it up. Then they continued to hurry forward. What was he gonna say? What was he gonna say? If I wasn't... Around the bridal sedan, corpses were strewn all over the ground. The silk band Royer had already strangled every wolf and Binu that had lunged forward. It had come back, gently wrapping itself onto Shalian's wrist on its own. Shalian sat within the sedan quietly, surrounded by the infinite darkness and the rustling of the sea of trees. All of a sudden, everything fell quiet. The sound of the wind, the sound of the sea of trees, the howling and roaring of demonic creatures, all sank into a deadly silence in an instant, as if they were afraid of something. And then he heard a very soft chuckle. It sounded like a man, but also a youth. Shalian sat poised and quiet. The silk band Royer was quietly encircling his hand, ready to strike at a moment's notice. If whoever had come showed a trace of killing aura, it would instantly, wildly strike back with 10 times the power. Yet unexpectedly, what came wasn't the anticipated attack or any murderous intent, but something else. The curtain of the bridal sedan was lightly lifted, and from underneath the bright red veil, Shalian saw the person had extended a hand to him. The fingers were well defined. A red string was tied on the third finger, and on that long, slender, fair hand, it looked like a bright and colorful affinity knot. Should he give his hand or no? Shalian maintained his composure. He hadn't decided yet. Should he continue to sit tall and still, or pretend to be a bride who was frightened and at a loss, dodging back? The owner of that hand was rather patient, however, and incredibly well-mannered. Shalian didn't move, and so that hand didn't move either, seeming to be waiting for his response. A moment later, as if something had taken control of him, Shalian reached out. He rose to his feet, ready to push aside the curtain to descend the sedan, but the man had already moved first, lifting the red curtain for him. This man who had come grasped his hand but didn't squeeze too hard, as if he was afraid of hurting him, somehow giving the impression of taking the utmost care. Shalian had his head bowed and let the man guide him slowly out of the sedan. Below the veil, Shalian could see by his feet the dead body of a wolf that the silk band Royer had strangled. An idea came to him, and Shalian lightly tripped, falling forward with an alarmed gasp. The man immediately reached out and caught him. Shalian also twisted his hand to catch the man's helping arm and felt something cold. It turned out the man was wearing a pair of silver vambraces around his wrists. The vambraces were exquisitely beautiful, with primitive decorative patterns. Maple leaves, butterflies, and savage beasts were engraved upon them, quite mysterious and quite unlike anything from the Central Plains, more akin to the ancient artifacts of foreign tribes. The vambraces appeared polished and refined, locked around the man's wrists. So sexy! Just the little armor on his wrist is already so sexy. Icy cold silver and fair white hands. Both were without a trace of life, but carried an evil, killing aura. Shalian's trip and fall earlier was a feint. He had a mind to test the man who'd come. Royer had been circling languidly inside the large, expansive sleeves of his wedding robes, ready to strike at a moment's notice. However, the man only took his hand and guided him forward. Shalian purposely walked extremely slowly. This was because, 1, he couldn't see the path clearly with the veil on, and 2, he wanted to stall for time. Yet this other person matched his pace and walked slowly along with him, the other arm coming around to support him every now and then, as if afraid Shalian would trip again. No matter how high on his guard Shalian was, to be treated this way, he couldn't help but think. If he was a real groom, then he'd genuinely be a most gentle and considerate one. Then he suddenly heard an exceedingly soft clinking sound. With every step the two took, that sound would ring crisply. Just as he was mulling over what that sound could be, there were suddenly the low, suppressed growls of wild beasts from all around. Wild wolves! Shalian jerked slightly, and the silk band Royer abruptly snapped tight around his wrist. Yet unexpectedly, before he could do anything, the man who was holding his hand softly tapped the back of that hand like he was comforting him, telling him not to worry. The 2 taps were so soft they could practically be called gentle. Shalian was slightly taken aback, but the low growling was already suppressed. Oh my god, his don't worry baby girl, I got you. It's just so, it's the competency kink. When Shalian listened closely, he suddenly realized that these wild wolves weren't growling, but whimpering. It was clearly the whimpering of beasts that had reached the peak of fear and could not move while they struggled before death. Now his curiosity for who this man was grew even stronger. He wanted to lift the veil to look first and worry about everything else later, but he knew that wasn't the best course of action at the moment. So he could only peek through the crack below the red covering, his view limited, and miss the larger picture. The only thing he saw was the lower hem of a vividly red robe. Below the red robe were a pair of black leather boots, walking languidly. Those black leather boots were wrapped tight around long, slender legs, looking mightily beautiful as they walked. Shayla had already taken note of his beautiful legs. black leather boots wrapped tight around long, slender legs. Looking mightily beautiful as they walked, on the sides of the black boots there dangled 2 fine silver chains, and with every step the silver chains would sway, clinking and clinkling, the sound extremely pleasant to the ear. The steps were nonchalant, but sprightly, much like those of a youth. However, his every step was also confident, like there was nothing that could stand in his way. If anyone dared to block him, he'd rip them to pieces. Because of this, Shalian couldn't quite say just who exactly this character was. Just as he was deep in thought, something hauntingly white on the ground suddenly intruded on his vision. It was a skull. Shalian's steps faltered for a moment. He could immediately tell that the way the skull was placed was amiss. This was clearly a point in some magic formation, and if moved, the entire enchantment would probably attack this spot in an instant. But judging by that youth's steps, it was as if he didn't notice there was anything here at all. Shalian was just considering whether he could warn him when he heard the crisp sound of a tragic crack. The youth stepped down and instantly crushed the skull to dust. And then, as if he sensed nothing, he walked over, stepping through that mound of dust indifferently. Shalian was speechless. With just one step, he crushed the entire enchantment into a mound of wasted dust. Just then, that youth's step paused. Shalian tensed, wondering if he was about to act, but the youth only stopped for a moment before continuing to guide Shalian along. After a couple of steps, suddenly there was a pitter-patter from above, as if beads of raindrops were beating down on the surface of an umbrella. Turns out, that youth had opened an umbrella and raised it over both of their heads. Although it wasn't time for this, Shalian couldn't help but praise inwardly that he really was quite thoughtful. But at the same time, he was also very curious. Is it raining? I love how he is just being taken on this little journey, and Shalian just keeps thinking like, oh my god, this guy is so nice! This might be the nicest guy ever! On the mystic Black Mountain, within the vast wilderness, somewhere deep in the far distant ranges, there came the long howls of the wolves. Perhaps it was because a slaughter had just occurred on the mountain, but the faint scent of blood was still permeating the cold, frigid air. Everything about this situation was eerie to the extreme, but that youth held him in one hand and the umbrella in the other as he walked leisurely on, appearing for no reason to be bewitchingly romantic and deeply affectionate. There's no picture. What are you guys talking about? I love that right off the bat, Shalian says, bewitchingly romantic and deeply affectionate. Oh, my bad. My bad. You meant this picture. That was like 5 pages ago. I did forget to show that. Look at that sexy hand. I just love that right off the bat, deeply romantic and affectionate are the words that came to mind. Oh, bewitchingly romantic and deeply affectionate. That strange shower came strangely and ended strangely as well. It wasn't long before the dripping sound of raindrops hitting the umbrella ended, and the youth also came to a stop. He seemed to have put away the umbrella, while at the same time he finally let go of Shalian's hand and moved one step closer. The hand that had been holding his own this entire way softly folded a corner of the veil and slowly lifted it upward. Shalian had been waiting for this moment the entire time. He stood still, watching as the clinging red curtain was slowly pulled up. The silk band shot out. It wasn't because the youth exuded a killing aura, but rather because he must be apprehended. Seize him first and talk later. Yet unexpectedly, when the silk band Royer flew out and carried with it a blast of wind, that bright red veil left the youth's hand, fluttering up then down. Before Shalian had the chance to see the remnant shadow of that red-robed youth, Royer had shot through him. The youth shattered into thousands of silver butterflies, scattering into a breeze of silver twinkling stars. While it wasn't the time for it, after Shalian had backed a couple of steps away, he couldn't help but sigh in awe. The sight truly was as beautiful as a fantastic dream. There's like multiple times where he's thought like, this is not the time for this, but damn, that's a nice hand. This is not the time for this, but damn, he's so gentle. This is not the time for this, but oh my god, that was just so beautiful. I'm just really enjoying myself, guys. Just then, one silver butterfly errantly flew past his eyes. When he tried to look closer, however, that single silver butterfly fluttered twice around him before joining the whirl of butterflies, melting into a part of the silver that enveloped the sky as they fluttered their wings to fly into the night. Oh, little one came and got a full look of him and then was like, goodbye, I love you. Oh my god. Was that not just written so beautifully? Ugh. It was a good while before Shalian came back around, and he wondered, so was that youth the ghost groom? In his opinion, he didn't think so. If those wolves on Mount Eugen were his subordinates, why would they appear so terrified upon seeing him? And that enchanted array on the way must have been set up by the ghost groom, yet he so casually crushed it. The more he pondered, the stranger this was. But then Shalian tossed Royer over his shoulder and thought, well, whatever. He could also just be a passerby. I'll leave this for now and focus on the matter at hand. But after scanning around, it turned out there was a building not far away, standing there somberly. Since that youth had brought him here, and this building was so painstakingly hidden inside this enchantment array, Shalian decided he must go inside and take a look. Shalian took a few steps, then halted abruptly. After some thought, he turned back and picked up the veil from the ground. He dusted it off and clutched it in his hand before continuing to make his way to the building. Okay, yeah, he picked up the veil. Okay. This building was a tall structure with red walls, the bricks and wood appearing rather mottled, like an aged local town temple. However, in Shalian's experience, this design was most likely a martial god temple. Sure enough, when he looked up, he saw the large, solidly metal words nailed on the top of the entrance, Temple of Ming Guang. The martial god of the north, General Ming Guang, was also the General Pei that Ling Wen spoke of in the communication array, whose worship was abundant in the north. No wonder they didn't find any temples of Ming Guang nearby, but found a temple of Nanyang. Turns out, the temple of Ming Guang on Mount Eugen had long since been locked away by an enchantment array. Could this ghost groom have anything to do with General Ming Guang? However, this General Ming Guang was a mighty and unapproachable great heavenly official, flush with success. Additionally, his status in the north was very secure. Personally, Shalian didn't think a heavenly official like that would have any connection with a malicious creature like the ghost groom. It wasn't strange to have one's base be overtaken by a malicious creature without one's knowledge. He'd have to wait and see what the truth really was. He walked up to the temple, and the doors were closed but not locked, so when he pushed, they opened. After pushing the doors in, a strange smell assaulted his senses. It wasn't the dusty air common to an unvisited place of many years, but rather a faint stench of rot. Shalian closed the doors behind him to make it seem like no one had entered, then crossed the threshold into the temple. At the center of the great hall was a martial god statue, naturally that of the martial gods of the north, General Ming Guang. Humanoid objects such as sculptures, puppets, and portraits were easily tainted by the aura of evil. Thus, the first thing Shalian did was to go up and look closely at this martial god statue. After examining it for a while, his conclusion was, this divine statue was exquisitely sculpted. Wielding a sacred sword and wearing a jade belt, his appearance was handsome, with an imposing bearing. There weren't any issues, and the rotting smell didn't come from this divine statue either. Thus, Shalian put it out of his mind and started to make his way to the back of the great hall. When he turned around, Shalian froze completely. His pupils shrank. A group of women dressed in bright red wedding robes, their heads covered with veils, stood tall before him. The faint stench of rot was exuding from these women. Shalian quickly composed himself, then started counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, until he counted to 17. There were the 17 brides who went missing in the Mount Eugen area. The red on some of the wedding dresses had faded, the robes looking exceedingly old and tattered, so he assumed they were the earliest brides who went missing. Some of the brides were still wearing brand new wedding dresses, and the styles were new too. The smell of aged, rotting corpse was still very light on them, so they must be the ones who went missing recently. Shalian thought for a moment, then removed the veil of one of the brides. There was a tragically pale face under the bright red veil, so white that it was faintly glowing green. With the soft light of the moon shining upon it, it was quite horrifying. But the most horrifying part was that, while the muscles of this woman's face were already contorted with death, on this face there hung a stiff smile. Shalian pulled off the veil of the next woman, and there were the same curled lips. An entire building full of dead people, and they were all dressed in wedding robes with smiles on their faces. The strange nursery rhyme sung by that child seemed to be ringing in Shalian's ears again. New bride, new bride, new bride in the red bridal sedan, brimming tears past the hills, smile not under the bridal veil. Suddenly, there was a strange sound coming from outside the temple. It truly was a strange sound, so strange that it was hard to describe, like two rods wrapped in heavy cloth were violently thumping on the forest floor, but also like something heavy was being pulled with difficulty along the ground. That sound traveled far and came close very quickly. It was merely an instant before it reached the entrance of the Temple of Mingguang. Creak! The doors of the Temple of Mingguang opened. Whatever had come, whether it be human or creature, was most likely that ghost groom. And now it had returned. There was nowhere to escape at the back of the hall, nor anywhere to hide. Shalian's mind spun for a second. Seeing the row of brides, he instantly put on his own veil, joining the line and standing still. That's kind of fucking funny. That's like some Scooby-Doo antics. If there were only 5 to 6 corpses standing there, then of course it'd be easy to see that the numbers weren't correct. But there were 17 bride corpses here, and unless each one was counted like he did earlier, it'd be difficult to notice something was strange mixed in. He'd only just joined the line before he heard that strange thump, 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 thump walk in. Shalian remained still while he pondered. What exactly is this sound? By the lengthened pauses, it's a bit like the sound of footsteps, but what creature's footsteps sound like that? It's definitely not the youth who brought me here. He was extremely at ease, and when he walked, he clinked. It's not my beautiful clinking boy. Suddenly, he realized something, and his heart jumped to his throat. Oh no, my height is wrong. These corpses were all women, but he was very much a man, and was born a notch taller than women. While an extra person couldn't be noticed with a glance, if there was someone particularly tall in the group of corpses, then that was very noticeable. But then again, Shalian's mind turned, and he quickly collected himself once more. He certainly was taller than these brides, but the girl Xiaoying had only bound his hair simply and didn't do much else with it. The brides here were all dressed to the nines, their hairdos shooting for the skies. There were even some who were wearing phoenix crowns, a giant piece rising high on their heads, so they might not be shorter than him, considering. Even if he was taller, he shouldn't be that conspicuous. Just as he was thinking this, he heard a shh sound that was about 6 meters away from him. A moment later, there was another shh, and this time it was a bit closer. Shalian realized what the ghost groom was doing now. It was pulling off the veil of each one of the brides and checking the faces of the corpses one by one. Wham! If he didn't strike now, when would there be a better time? The silk band Royer shot out and hit the ghost groom squarely. There was a loud rumble, and black mist assaulted his face. Shalian didn't know whether that evil mist was toxic or not, but since he had no spiritual light to shield his body, he immediately covered his nose and mouth. At the same time, he prompted Royer to whirl wildly to vent the air, dispersing the black mist. There was another thump, 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 and when Shalian cracked open his eyes, he saw a small, short form by the entrance of the temple flash past. The entrance was thrown open, and a ball of black mist bolted for the forest. Shalian made the decision on the spot and chased after it immediately. Yet, who knew he hadn't gone far before he saw fires blazing within the woods. The screams and shouts of a rampage came from the distance. Charge! The voice of a youth was particularly loud and clear. Catch the ugly freak and exterminate evil for the people! Catch the ugly freak and exterminate evil for the people! We'll split the bounty evenly. It was indeed Xiao Peng To. Shalian inwardly let out a frustrated cry. This group had said they were going to come from the mountain, and they actually did. There was originally an enchanted array concealing the area, but that area had been crushed to smithereens by the youth earlier, and this group, with their blind luck, actually found the place. Upon a second look, the direction the noise came from just so happened to be the direction in which the ghost groom had fled. Shalian grabbed Royer and charged out, shouting, "Don't move!" The group froze for a moment. He was about to say more when he heard Xiao Pengtou inquire enthusiastically, "Miss, you were kidnapped by the ghost groom, right? What's your name? We're here to rescue you. You can relax now." Shalian was taken aback, finding this hilarious, before remembering that he was still dressed in women's attire. There were no mirrors inside the Temple of Nanyang, so he had no idea how he looked right now, but from their reaction, Miss Xiaoying's hands must be adept. In their shock, the group actually took him for a real bride, and this Xiao Pengtou was probably hoping Shalian would be that 17th bride so he could go collect the reward money. However, given the situation, he could not allow these villagers to run amok under any circumstance. Moreover, he couldn't guarantee that the ghost groom had continued to flee. Coincidentally, right then, two black-clad youths came rushing over. Shalian immediately called, "Nanfeng, Fu Yao, come aid me, quick!" Yet who knew, when those two heard and looked over, they were both taken aback, then backed a couple of steps away in unison. Shalian had to ask many times before they came around. Shalian asked, "Did you two come from that direction? Did you run into anything on the way?" "No," Nanfeng replied. "Good," Shalian said. "Fu Yao, follow this path immediately and search the surrounding area. Make sure the ghost groom hasn't escaped." Fu Yao turned and left when he heard the instructions. Shalian then said, "Nanfeng, you stay and guard this place, and make sure not a single person leaves. If Fu Yao doesn't find the ghost groom on the mountain, then it must be in that crowd right now." Upon hearing this, commotion erupted within the crowd. Xiao Pengtou had realized it wasn't a woman by now, and he was the first to jump. "Not a single one can leave? On what grounds? Are there no laws in this land? Guys, don't listen to them." He hadn't yet landed from his jump when Nanfeng struck out a palm and a large tree as wide as a man's hug snapped and collapsed. The crowd instantly remembered that this young man chopped things whenever there was a disagreement. If he chopped them like that pillar, then any form of monetary repayment would be useless, so they all shut up. Xiao Pengtou exclaimed, "You said the ghost groom is among us? Every single one of us has a proper name and family. If you don't believe me, use a torch to light up everyone's face and check them individually." "Nanfeng," Shalian called. Nanfeng took the torch from Xiao Pengtou and went around to shine it over every single person. Each face was covered in sweat or nervous or at a loss or excited, all extremely spirited. Shalian couldn't discern anything, and he came back before the crowd. "Everyone, I apologize for any offense earlier, but I injured the ghost groom and it escaped. It definitely couldn't have gone far. My two young friends here didn't run into it on the way here, so I'm afraid this creature is mixed in within the group. Will you please take a good look at each other, see if each other's faces clearly, and check if there's anyone you don't recognize in this crowd?" When the crowd heard that the ghost groom could be mixed in within their own group of people, their blood ran cold. They didn't dare to be so careless. They peered at each other, you looking at me and me looking at you. They had looked for a while, when there was a sudden yell. "Why are you here?" Shalian's brows shot up and he rushed over. "Who is it?" Xiao Pengtou snatched someone else's torch and shined it at the corner of the crowd. "This ugly freak!" The one he was pointing at was Xiao Ying. Xiao Ying's slanted eyes and crooked nose appeared somewhat contorted under the firelight, and she had her arms raised to block her face, looking like she couldn't bear to be exposed under the firelight's glare. I was worried, so I wanted to come up and look." Seeing how alarmed she appeared, Shalian took away the torch in Xiao Pengtou's hand and turned to the others. "How is it, everyone?" The group all shook their heads. "There isn't anyone we don't know. We've seen everyone here." "Could it be possessing someone?" Nanfeng asked. Shalian hummed for a second. "It's doubtful. That was a solid body." "Since it's a wrath, it's hard to say whether it can change shape," Nanfeng said. While the two were hesitating, Xiao Pengtou was again the first to shout, "The ghost groom isn't among us, do you see? If you see, then why don't you let us go?" Scattered voices agreed, here and there, and Shalian gave them a sweeping look. "Will everyone please stay here in front of this temple of Mingguang and not move even a half step away?" The group was about to complain again, but when they saw Nanfeng's cold glare, they didn't dare. Just then, Fu Yao also returned. He reported, "There's nothing nearby." Gazing at this heavily packed crowd before the temple of Mingguang, Shalian slowly said, "Then it must be one of these people." Among Us. It is Among Us. Oh boy. That's the end of chapter 3. How long is chapter 4? Pretty damn long. Oh! Not insanely long. That was a long chapter. I feel like we could read a little bit more. Oh, Leo finished a Danmei Kahoot. Absolutely send that to me. That'd be wicked. Alright, chapter 4. Mountain-locked ancient temple, forest of hanging corpses. Fu Yao noticed that Xiaoying had shrunk into the crowd, and he frowned. Why is there a woman here? While his tone wasn't furious, it didn't mean well either. When Xiaoying heard him, she bowed her head. Shalian explained, she was worried, so she came here to look. Fu Yao questioned the others. Did you all come up with her? The crowd was a little uncertain at first, but they replied, Don't remember. Can't tell. No, when we came up, she wasn't here, right? Either way, I didn't see her. Me neither. Xiaoying quickly said, It's because I was following secretly. Xiao Pengtou immediately cut her off. Why did you follow in secret? Are you guilty of something? Are you the ghost groom in disguise? With such an accusation, the space near Xiaoying immediately cleared out, and she was waved in a fluster. No, I'm Xiaoying. I'm real. She turned to Shalian. Young master, we just saw each other. I helped you put on rouge, did your hair, and did your whole makeover. Shalian could not find the words to reply to that. Everyone turned their eyes on him, and someone started to whisper among themselves. He vaguely heard the words hobby, abnormal, unbelievable, and he cleared his throat. This was a mission requirement. A mission requirement! Nanfeng, Fu Yao, you... Shalian looked around, and only then did he notice that Nanfeng and Fu Yao had been staring at him oddly the entire time. They very rigidly pulled some distance away from him. The way they were staring at him gave him goosebumps from head to toe. Is there something you wish to say to me? How could he have known that this girl's makeover work was so gifted that his brows were shaped elegantly, his face was fair as jade powder, and his lips were touched with rouge? If he didn't open his mouth, then he was entirely a gentle, demure, and beautiful young lady. This gave the two a huge shock and mirrored them into disbelief, making them question their lives and feel uncomfortable all over. Oh my god, he looked a little too good. The face was still the same face, but they no longer knew who they were talking to. Fu Yao turned to Nanfeng. Was there something you wanted to say? Nanfeng immediately shook his head. There's nothing I want to say. Why don't you guys just say something? Shalian said. Just then, some men from the crowd spoke up. This is the temple of Mingguang. There's a temple of Mingguang on this mountain? Amazing. I've never seen it before. The crowd looked over in wonder. Shalian, however, suddenly said, That's right, the temple of Mingguang. Nanfeng could tell something was off about his tone. What is it? Shalian replied, The north is clearly General Mingguang's territory. It's not like his worship isn't flourishing. So how come there is only one temple of Nanyang at the foot of Mount Yujin? Oh, sorry. So how come there is only the one temple of Nanyang at the foot of the Mount Yujin? It was easy to understand why the Lord Official had prayed to the Heavenly Emperor. The Heavenly Emperor was the #1 martial god of the past 1,000 years, and his status was higher than General Mingguang. Naturally, the higher up you prayed, the more guarantee there was. However, General Mingguang and General Nanyang were equal in status, with not much difference. If it must be debated, then General Mingguang possessed 9,000 temples, over 1,000 more than Nanyang. So it was really hard to imagine why they would seek from afar and forego what lay close at hand. Shalian wondered. Technically, even if this temple of Mingguang on Mount Yujin was overtaken and people couldn't find it, they could have simply built another temple of Mingguang. Why build the martial temple of another god? Fu Yao could understand. There must be another reason. Right, there must be another reason that would make the people in the Mount Yujin area never build another temple of Mingguang, Shalian said. Can either one of you lend me a bit more spiritual power? I'm afraid I'll have to go ask. Just then, someone made a commotion. Whoa, there's so many brides! That voice had come from inside the temple, and Shalian whipped around. He told that group to properly stay in the open ground in front of the temple, but they ignored him completely and went in. Nanfeng shouted, "The situation's dangerous. Don't run around." However, Xiao Pengtou rebuked him. "Don't listen to him, guys. They won't dare to do anything to us. We're good citizens, as if they'd dare to kill us. Get up, everyone. Get up." He wasn't certain Shalian and company wouldn't actually do anything to them, so he started to riot. Nanfeng cracked his knuckles, looking like he was holding back his curses. As a martial officer of the Palace of Nanyang, how could he break the limbs of mortals whenever he wished? If any supervisory heavenly official were to report him, it wouldn't be funny. Xiao Pengtou sneered. "Don't think I don't know what you guys are thinking. Aren't you just tricking us into not moving so you can steal the credit and go claim the reward for yourselves?" With him egging people on, over half the group actually started to move, and they ran into the temple along with him. Fu Yao waved dismissively and said apathetically, "Let them be, those unruly people." He sounded extremely disgusted, not wanting to care anymore. However, there came a shriek from inside the temple of Mingguang. "They're all dead!" Xiao Pengtou was also alarmed. "All dead? All dead! What is this wickedness? This one looks like she's been dead for decades, but she still hasn't rotted." He quickly got over it, however. "Doesn't matter if they're dead. Transport all the corpses of the brides down the mountain. Their families will still have to pay up anyway." Shalian's eyes slowly darkened. The group gave the idea a thought, and it certainly made sense. Some sighed, some grumbled, and there were those who were cheerful again. Shalian stood at the temple entrance. "Why doesn't everyone come outside first? The air in the back of this temple is heavy with death. Without any ventilation for years, there'll be issues if you folks were to breathe it in." This sounded very logical, and the group didn't know whether they should listen. Xiao Ying begged in a small voice, "Everyone, let's not be this way. It's so dangerous here. Why don't we listen to this young master first and go out to sit?" But this group didn't even bother to listen to Shalian, so why would they listen to her? No one paid attention. Xiao Ying didn't give up, however, and repeated herself a few times. Xiao Pengtou directed them. "Go for the fresh corpses, guys. Who knows if the families are the ones that are too old or still even alive? Don't waste your energy hauling those." There were even those who praised him for being clever and able. Shalian really didn't know whether to laugh or cry at this, and when he saw there were people touching where they shouldn't, he warned aloud. "Don't remove the veils. That veil can separate the chi of the corpse and the chi of the living. There's a lot of you, and the living chi is too abundant. If they suck it in, it's hard to know what will happen." However, in order to pick out the freshest corpses, the group of men had already pulled off pretty much all the veils. Shalian exchanged a look with Nanfeng, who had come to the door and shook his head, knowing they couldn't stop them. After all, it wasn't like they could beat the men to a bloody pulp and render them immobile. Otherwise, if something happened, wouldn't they lose the ability to run? A very hopeless situation. Meridia said, "Shalian's so woman-coded in this wedding dress, he's being ignored like the real woman." Oh, it's true. So far, this book is just showing us that people are awful all over the place. Just then, one of the burly men removed the veil of one of the brides and exclaimed, "My God, this little hussy is super cute!" The men all came to surround the corpse. Empire's Prince, thank you for the donation. Laugh or cry counter 2. Yes, we are. That's hilarious. Thank you so much for donating. She wasn't even married yet, right? What a waste just to die like that. Her clothes are a bit tattered, but she's the prettiest. The bride probably hadn't been dead for too long. The skin of her face was still rather supple. Someone said, "I dare you to feel her up." "What's there to be scared of?" Xiao Pengtou said. Then he pinched the corpse's face a couple of times. It was so silky smooth that it made his heart itch, and he reached out, ready to touch her again. Shalian couldn't bear to watch anymore and was about to stop him when Xiao Ying rushed over. "Don't do this!" she exclaimed. Xiao Pengtou gave her a backhanded shove and yelled, "Don't get in men's way!" But Xiao Ying climbed to her feet again and cried, "You're going to incur heaven's wrath like this!" Xiao Pengtou was furious now and he cursed, "God damn it, you ugly freak, you're so nosy!" He swore as he moved to kick her, but Shalian easily lifted the back of Xiaoying's collar with one hand and pulled her away. Unexpectedly, however, they heard a thud. Xiao Pengtou yelled, "Who hit me?" Shalian looked back. Xiao Pengtou was bleeding from a gaping wound on the head after having been hit, and there was a blood-stained rock on the ground. Xiaoying was stunned for a moment before quickly apologizing. Sorry, I was scared and accidentally threw it." However, even if she was eager to take the blame for it, no one would believe her because the direction was completely wrong. This rock was hurled from a window behind Xiao Pengtou. When Xiao Pengtou yelled, everyone had turned to look in that direction, just in time to see a flash of a shadow outside the window. Xiao Pengtou hollered, "It's him! That ugly freak with bandages on his face!" Shalian stuffed Xiaoying into Nanfeng's hands and strode a couple steps forward. Propping his right hand on the window lattice, he hopped over and ran toward the forest in pursuit. A few of the boulders, ones who had their eyes on the bounty, followed him and leapt out the window as well. However, when Shalian reached the edge of the forest, he suddenly caught a whiff of blood. Sensing something off, and with alarm bells ringing in his head, he came to a sudden halt. He warned, "Don't go in." He had shouted his warning, but those people thought, "I'll give chase even if you won't," and charged into the forest without stopping. The others who had originally gathered in the temple swarmed out too, and when they saw that Shalian stopped at the edge of the woods, those who weren't as bold crowded around to watch. Before long, they heard screams, and a few shadows stumbled out from the forest. They were the few who had barged in first earlier, and now they were staggering out. When the crowd saw them after they stepped under the moonlight, they were instantly scared out of their wits. They were still living humans when they had entered. How had they become blood-soaked humans when they came out? From their faces to their clothes on their bodies, these people were stained with red, the blood gushing forth like a spring. If someone bled this much, it meant certain death. However, those men were still making their way towards them step by step. Terrified, everyone retreated uniformly until they were behind Shalian. Shalian raised his hand. "Calm down, the blood isn't theirs." Sure enough, those men said, "Yeah, the blood isn't ours. It's... Even when drenched in blood, the horror on their faces could not be concealed. The group followed the eyes of those men and looked into the forest. It was pitch black, so they could not see exactly what lay within. Shalian took over a torch and took a few steps forward, and then raised it to probe ahead. Something in the darkness dripped onto the torch, giving off a sizzling sound. He glanced at the torch before looking up. After composing himself for a moment, he raised his hand and then tossed the torch up. Although the hurled torch only illuminated the area overhead for an instant, everyone still got a clear look of what had been above the trees. Long black hair, deathly pale faces, tattered military officers' uniforms, and arms dangling in the air. The swinging corpses of more than 40 men were suspended upside down at varying heights on the trees. No one knew how long their blood had flowed, but they had yet to dry up. They dripped and dripped, forming a terrifying scene, a forest of hanging corpses amidst a falling rain of blood. Ugh. This group of people outside the forest were all strong, burly men, but they had never seen such a sight before. They were petrified into silence. When Nanfeng and Fu Yao came over and saw this scene, their expressions froze. After a moment, Nanfeng said, "Green ghost." "Indeed," Fu Yao agreed. "It's his favorite trick." Nanfeng turned to Shalian. "Don't go over there. It'll be a bit of a problem if it's him." Shalian looked back and asked, "Who are you talking about?" Near Supreme," Nanfeng replied. Shalian asked, puzzled. "Near Supreme? You mean close to the power level of a Supreme?" "That's right," Fu Yao said. "The Near Supreme Green Ghost is a malicious creature who has been evaluated by the Palace of Lingwen as close to the level of Supreme. He adores games like this forest of hanging corpses. You could say he's infamous." Shalian thought, that's really unnecessary. If you're a Supreme, you're a Supreme. If you aren't, then you aren't. Just like there's only ascended and not ascended. There's no nearly ascended or about to ascend. Adding in near only makes it awkward for everyone. He recalled when that young man led him all the way here. There had been the sound of rain pitter-pattering on the surface of his umbrella. Could he have held it up to shield him from the blood rain of this corpse forest? He let out a soft, "Ah," and the other two immediately asked, "What's the matter?" He thus gave a brief account of how he had met a young man while he was in the sedan, and how that young man had brought him here. When he was done, Fu Yao said skeptically, "I noticed the enchanted array on this mountain when I came up. It was immensely tough, but he broke it so handily?" Shalian thought, rather he crushed it under his heel without even noticing the feat. He said, "That's right, this near-supreme green ghost you speak of. Could that be him?" Nanfeng considered it briefly. "I've never seen the green ghost before, so I can't say. Does that young man you saw have any distinctive features?" "Silver butterflies," Shalian said. Earlier, when Nanfeng and Fu Yao saw the forest of hanging corpses, they remained considerably composed. But the instant those two words left Shalian's mouth, he could clearly see the drop in their faces. This is so juicy. Fu Yao exclaimed in disbelief. "What did you say? Silver butterflies? What kind of silver butterflies?" Shalian realized that he had probably said something significant and explained. "They're like silver, yet also crystal. They don't seem to be living creatures, but they look quite pretty." He saw Nanfeng and Fu Yao exchange looks with expressions so grim their faces were almost green. After a while, Fu Yao said darkly, "Leave, right now." "We haven't settled the case of the ghost groom yet. How am I to leave?" Shalian said. "Settle?" Fu Yao said. He turned back and sneered. "Seems like you have really tarried too long in the human realm. This ghost groom is merely a wrath. Even the green ghost of this hanging corpse forest is merely a near supreme, as pesky as he might be." After another pause, he suddenly said in a stern voice, "Do you know who the master of those silver butterflies is?" Shalian replied honestly, "I don't." "Even if you don't, there isn't time for me to explain now," Fu Yao said stiffly. "In short, he isn't someone you can handle. You'd better hurry back to the heavenly realm and ask for reinforcements." He's like, "I can handle it just fine. I'll let him do whatever he wants to me." "Then you head back first," Shalian said. "You—" "The master of those silver butterflies never showed any hint of malice," Shalian said. "If he does harbor malice, if he really is as terrifying as you claim, then no one within the perimeter of Mount Yujin would be able to escape his clutches. All the more reason someone has to stand guard here right now. So why don't you go back first and help me seek reinforcements?" Hermes gave me Molly. "Thank you for donating," and says, "Is there a way to make a laugh and cry counter?" Yeah, that's a good question. How are we keeping track so far? He could tell Fu Yao didn't want to remain here and deal with so many troublesome matters. If that was the case, then Shalian wouldn't force the issue. Fu Yao was a straightforward person, so he really did leave on his own with a toss of his sleeves. Shalian turned toward Nanfeng and was about to inquire further about that young man when there was another commotion in the crowd. Someone shouted, "We got him! We got him!" Now Shalian didn't have the time to ask anything anymore either. "Who did you catch?" Two more bloody figures emerged from the forest. One was a burly fellow who had charged into the forest earlier, and who was one of the few who was not scared off by the blood rain in the corpse forest. The other was a young boy, being dragged along by him in a firm grip, his head and face messily wrapped with bandages. Shalian remembered what the tea master had said earlier in the little shop. Apparently the ghost groom is an ugly creature living on Mount Yujin, and because it's so ugly, no woman loves it, which is why it grew hate in its heart and began robbing others of their brides to ruin their happy occasions. They thought that might have been a rumor at the time. Who would have guessed that there really was such a person? Be that as it may, whether he was the ghost groom was a different matter altogether. Shalian was just about to take a closer look at the bandaged boy when Xiao Ying rushed over. She yelled, "You've got the wrong person! This isn't the ghost groom! He isn't!" Xiao Pengtou shouted back, "He was caught red-handed, and you still say he isn't? He paused as if something had suddenly dawned on him. Then he continued, "Oh, I was wondering why you're always acting so strange, always insisting he isn't, he isn't. So you're in cahoots with the ghost groom." Stunned, Xiao Ying hurriedly waved her hands. No, I'm not. He's not either. He hasn't done anything. He's just an ordinary... Xiao Pengtou pressed on aggressively. "Ordinary what? Ordinary ugly freak?" He yanked at the bandaged boy's hair a couple of times and said, "Then why don't we take a look at how this ordinary ghost groom looks, since he loves stealing other women so much?" His random grabbing made a mess of the few strips of the bandages, and the bandaged boy instantly held his head and screamed. His cries were full of fear, incredibly mournful and pitiful. Xiaolian seized Xiao Pengtou's arms. Enough! When Xiao Ying heard that young boy's screams, her tears tumbled down, and when she saw Xiaolian stopping Xiao Pengtou, it was akin to seeing hope. She hurriedly grabbed his sleeves and begged, young master, help me, help him! Xiaolian cast her a look, and Xiao Ying let go of his sleeve in embarrassment, as if afraid he would scorn her touchy-feely hands and would not want to help her anymore. Xiaolian comforted her. It's fine. He took another look at the bloody-headed bandaged boy and realized that he was also peeking at Xiaolian with wide, bloodshot eyes through the gaps in the bandages under his hands. The boy only stole a glance before quickly lowering his eyes, and he hurriedly secured the bandages again. Although he did not reveal his face, a patch of skin was exposed, and that bit was already horrifying, as if it had been burned by fire. It was not hard to imagine how scary the face that laid under the bandages was, and the others sucked in a breath, while the boy shrank even more. Xiaolian noticed that the way those two cowered was exactly the same. It was as if they were afraid to step into the light, afraid to see other people. He sighed inwardly. Next to them, Xiao Pengtou was alarmed. What are you scheming? We are the ones who caught the ghost groom. A creature from the Black Lagoon. Thank you so much for donating. Creature says, wow, it's been so long since I've been able to tune in for a stream. Last time I watched you were still on MDZS. I hope you had a happy holiday. I'm sure it's been busy and stressful for a lot of people, so I wish everyone well. Oh, that's so sweet of you. Thank you so much for wishing us well and for the donation. We had a really good holiday, and yeah, we're excited to get into Tgcf. We're just on chapter 4 right now. But thank you so much. I'm happy to see you here again too. Xiaolian let go of him. I'm afraid the ghost groom won't let you catch him so easily. My friend searched around here earlier, but didn't find him. It's possible this boy came much later. The real ghost groom should still be here. Xiao Ying also mustered up her courage. You want the reward money, but you can't just catch anyone at random to make up the numbers. Xiao Pengtou clearly wanted to hit her again after hearing this. He had been causing trouble since earlier, and Xiaolian finally couldn't endure it anymore. He waved his hand and Royer flew out to give Xiao Pengtou a slap with a thwack that knocked him over. Nanfeng seemed to have reached his limit too and immediately followed up with a kick. I love that they're just kicking the shit out of this boy. The youth finally toppled to the ground and remained still. This person was the lead instigator, so once he became immobile, the crowd didn't know who to take aim at and settled down. There were a few scattered outcries here and there, but the commotion was over. Xiaolian thought, finally we can get down to business. He sized up the young boy on the ground for a moment, then asked, were you the one who threw the rock in the window earlier? His voice was gentle. Were you the one that threw the rock? Where are we? His voice was gentle. The bandaged boy, who was trembling uncontrollably, peeked at him again and nodded. Xiao Ying explained, he doesn't want to harm anyone. He just wanted to help me when it looked like Xiao Pengtou was going to hit me. Oh, Sugar Kiss, thank you so much for donating. Oh my goodness. Signing off. Need to sleep for tomorrow, but Happy New Year to everyone. See you next year. Oh, see you next year, Sugar Kiss. Thank you so much for everything all this year. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Sugar Kiss. Oh my gosh. Thank you. I think we're going to finish up here. It's almost 7, so we'll have to stop in the middle of this chapter. There's kind of a little paragraph break in the next 2 pages. Xiaolian asked the boy again, do you know what's with all those corpses hanging in the forest? Xiao Ying answered, I don't know what's going on, but he's definitely not the one who hung them up. The bandaged boy trembled non-stop, but all he did was shake his head repeatedly. Nanfeng, who had been staring at him, suddenly said, who is the green ghost Qirong to you? Xiaolian gave a slight start upon hearing the name. The bandaged boy, however, just looked blank. He showed no reaction when the name was uttered, and he was too scared to reply to Nanfeng. He's too scared to talk, Xiao Ying explained. All this while, she had been trying her best to protect this strange boy. Xiaolian implored gently, Miss Xiao Ying, what exactly is the matter with this child? Tell me everything you know. Xiaoying seemed to sum up a little courage at the sight of Shalian. Firelight shone brightly on her face, but she was no longer avoiding it. Wringing her hands, she said, "He really didn't do anything bad. This child simply lives on Mount Yujin. Sometimes when he's too hungry, he'll run down the mountain to steal some food. There was once when he happened to steal from my house. I saw that he couldn't really talk and there were injuries on his face, so I found some cloth for him to bandage him with. I also give him food sometimes." Quinn, thank you for donating, Quinn. Quinn said, "Did you ever get my package or was it lost in the mail?" Last I checked, I have not gotten any packages, but also the UPS store has been closed for the holidays, so I will probably not be able to check for another 2 days. But I'm very excited to see what you've sent me, Quinn. Thank you. And Miss Rosie also donated. Happy New Year's, everyone. Hope it's a great one. Oh, Happy New Year, Miss Rosie. We're almost done. We've got 1.5 pages more. Shalian had initially thought them to be a couple, but now that he learned all of this, Xiaoying's reciprocal protectiveness was more like that of an older sister, or even an elder taking care of him. She added, "Later, there were many who thought he was the ghost groom. I couldn't convince them, so I could only hope that the real culprit would be quickly captured. I thought since you're so capable, prepared to act as a bride to catch the ghost groom and everything, then at the very least you wouldn't catch the wrong person, because he would never ever hijack the wedding sedan. But the moment I headed out, I heard that Xiao Pengtou and the rest wanted to search the mountain today too. I was really worried, so I secretly came up to take a look." She stood as a shield before the boy like she was afraid the others would hit him again, and defended him further. "He really isn't the ghost groom. Look at him. It's taken so few to beat him like this. How in the world could he defeat so many military officers escorting the bride sedan?" Shalian and Nanfeng exchanged glances, both equally finding this to be a headache. If it was as she said, then wasn't the boy completely unrelated to this incident? The bandaged boy, the Wrath Ghost Groom, the near supreme green ghost, and that powerful, influential master of the silver butterflies, who made all heavenly officials turn pale at the mere mention of his name. To think the small Mount Yujin would see a never-ending flow of strange guests. This was truly a tough case to deal with. Who was who? What was the relationship between who and who? Shalian felt his headache intensify several times over. He rubbed his forehead and temporarily stopped thinking about how much truth there was in Xiaoying's words. Something else suddenly came to mind that he'd been meaning to ask, and he said, "Miss Xiaoying, have you always lived near Mount Yujin?" Xiaoying replied, "Yes, I've always lived here. I can guarantee that he has never done anything bad here." "No, I wanted to ask you something else," Shalian said. "Are there no other temples of Mingguang built in the vicinity of Mount Yujin, other than the one in this mountain?" Xiaoying was taken aback. She thought about it, then said, "There should have been others, I think." At her response, Shalian suddenly had the vague feeling that he'd grasped something important. He asked, "Then why did I only see a temple of Nanyang at the foot of the mountain, but not a temple of Mingguang?" Xiaoying scratched her head. "They tried to build one before, but I heard that every time construction of a temple of Mingguang was in the works, there would always be a fire for some reason, halfway through. Some people said that it probably meant General Mingguang could not protect this place for some reason, so they switched to General Nanyang." Nanfeng noticed Shalian's frozen expression and asked, "What's the matter with you?" Shalian suddenly realized that it was all too simple. The brides who could not smile, the temples that caught fire for no reason, the temple of Mingguang locked away by enchanted arrays on the mountain, the majestic martial god statue of General Pei, the ghost groom who had disappeared into thin air after being wounded by Royer. All too simple. It was only because there was always something else interfering and diverting his attention that he hadn't realized such a simple truth right from the start. He forcefully seized hold of Nanfeng and exclaimed, "Lend me some spiritual powers!" Nanfeng was startled but hurriedly struck a palm with him in midair. He asked, "What's the matter?" Shalian dragged him and ran. "I'll explain later. Think of a way to subdue the corpses of those 18 brides first." Nanfeng said, "Have you lost your senses? There are only 17 brides' corpses. You are the 18th. Shalian said, No. He explained, "There were only 17 before, but now there are 18. Among the 18 brides' corpses, one is fake. The ghost groom is hiding among them." Among Us! And we will stop there. for the year. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for coming to join a very special stream. I love that we got to start reading Tgcf again before the year ended. It just feels so good, and we will begin the year off with such a bang. Haha, bang. And it will be so good. I love reading. I love getting back into the mood with Hualien, and just like, oh, how intimate Shalian's thoughts are about him already are just like so good. Oh my gosh, Dialumi, thank you so much for such a generous donation. Oh my gosh. I did a little drawing of Shalian during the stream. May I perhaps share it? Happy New Year. Oh my god, yeah, please send it to me. Tell me where you sent it and when you've sent it. I would love to see it. Oh my gosh. That's so good. I see you guys spamming the hearts. I appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, this is truly just the best way to spend an evening and to spend a year. So I hope everybody has an incredible, fun New Year's tomorrow. And yeah, I will see you guys next year. That's so funny. It's my favorite joke to say. See you next year. See you next level. Valoraptor says, every time Hua Chung meets Shalian dressed as a woman, it's a bride, pregnant. A pregnant woman, and then a woman hiding with a child. You're right. They go through the 3 phases. That's so funny. Yes, you caught the Yuri on Ice reference. See you next level. Night Owl says, everyone thanks for being Danmei friends. CSCL says, thank you for reading and making this past year so fun. Looking forward to 2026. Yeah, me too. Dar Lady says, do you think Shalian would be a better parent? I think Hua Chung would be such an incredible parent. They would be fantastic together. Jessica says, we just never see you again. Yeah, no next level. Unlike Ice Adolescence, I will not be cancelled. Aesthetic Girl says, Happy New Year, Kichter. Have a great New Year, you guys. Yes. I'll probably post pictures of our New Year's fit on the community or on Instagram. All right. Oh, asking when the next reading stream will be. I gotta look into next year. It will be on the 5th, I do believe. It will be next Monday. Because Friday there will be a members only stream, so that'll be a fun game night. So I'll catch up with you guys then. If you decide to become a member in the short time, then you can join the members game night on Friday. I'm looking into next year. Yes, I am psychic. Aw, you guys are so sweet. This is the best community ever. All right, I'll send you out with the theme song. Going back to Kichter's channel just to watch that yowie wowie, that yowie wowie. I love you guys. Bye. See you next year.